guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know this beast, your girl Kaya B coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 4 episodes 6 through 8 and the mess. So obviously, let's get into it. We're coming back from their honeymoon, their vacation in Mexico. And the first things first, we have Zack and Bliss. Zack and Bliss, in the restaurant, they meet for the first time ever. He basically tells Bliss, like, hey, and he basically is just telling her, like, everything that happened for Irina, like, oh, I had a horrible time for Irina, like, it wasn't bad, it was bad, like, you were the right decision all the time, Irina wasn't the one, you were the right choice for me all along. And he was basically telling Bliss this. So Bliss is listening, obviously, she's very gracious for giving him the time of day after he even broke her heart and let her, everything that happened. But granted, the time frame of all of this happening is with like a week. So she, this wasn't like a long time that has passed. This has been, they got out the pods, he didn't get engaged to her, and they went back to Seattle, he went on vacation, he went on the honeymoon vacation with Irina. So this was basically a week in between. He basically, told Bliss, like, you were the one for me, Irina wasn't the one for me at all, like, I was just very horrible with her. So, Bliss was just basically like, we'll see. That was their first dinner date. Well, basically lunch, brunch, whatever date that they had. And that was it. Next thing you know, they had a second date. It was at his house. And, he was cooking dinner for Bliss and they're talking. But the thing is that, after, talking, Bliss is just like, I still have feelings for you and everything. That didn't went away. But I still feel like I'm the second option. Like, I'm still conflicting with myself with that because just like, I really do care about you and everything. Like, I wouldn't even be here if I didn't. But I feel like a second option. So he's just like, I understand, and you are not the second option, blah, 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 blah. But, basically just trying to assure her that that's what happened, that you were the right choice all along. So then we get to their third date that we see later on. They're on a boat, they're on a yacht, whatever. And, they're having a little time seeing the scenery and everything. And he basically, after a little chit chat, he proposed to Bliss. And everybody's like shocked because it's like, whoa, you're proposing to Bliss? Obviously, Bliss accepted his, well, not obviously, that was shockingly, she accepted his, proposal. And, they were talking a bit. And, she was again stating that, she's still conflicted about being like the second choice. And he was like, if I ever had any attraction or wanting to get back with Irina, then sure, you would have been the second choice, but I have no intention of ever being with Irina, ever. You were always the right choice. You were always basically the right choice. You weren't the second option or second choice. So he basically tried to assure her again, like, hey, you're not the second choice. And granted, I can understand, her bringing up might feel like, okay, why are you keep on bringing up? But then again, you gotta understand the feelings that was involved. Granted, the time frame of this is very quick. Like, this wasn't a time for her to just like sit down and relax on it. She had a week in between. Like, she only had 1 week after the pods to decompress from Zack. And then he comes back and be basically like, hey, I made the wrong choice. It was you all along. Basically everything that she basically said while they were in the pods. And yeah. So, she just like, my feelings are still there, what happened, but I still really care about you and I feel like this is the right choice, I feel like I was the right choice all along. You do too. So, we're still going to move forward into a relationship. So basically that was Bliss and Zack. And granted, I feel, he did her dirty. Like, he should have listened to her since the beginning. But I feel like they were the right choice since the pod. So I'm kind of glad that they're together. But I'm just like, he did her dirty. So if she wants to keep on bringing it up, let her bring it up. So then we get to Brett and Tiffany. Tiffany brought her friends out to meet Brett, and they were actually pretty cool friends. They were just basically telling Brett, don't do nothing to hurt their Tiffany and whatnot. Also, Tiffany was calling Brett bougie just because he has like the highest technology. He has like a whole shoe rack of like Nikes, like and then the thing is that he was like, if this is too small for us, like we can get another unit in this apartment complex. I'm saying, like if we can get a 2 or 3 bedroom, because Tiffany was just like, well, the space, it wasn't that small, but the closet space was small, so therefore when Tiffany brings her belongings and her stuff, then it's going to be too crowded. So he was like, you can get a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom in the same complex or whatever. So I was like, okay, Brett, you got the money. So then we get to Paul and Micah. Obviously Paul showed Micah his apartment, basically, and Micah didn't like it because it was just very much not decorated at all. Then Micah showed Paul her parents. Obviously, they approved of him and Micah being together. So there was that. And then, I think beforehand, it was the whole, before we even get to the whole meeting of the apartment and the parents and stuff like that, Micah and Paul were discussing the fact that how Irina was basically showing interest in Paul, and Paul basically was like, she's a bit touchy-feely while we were in the pool, but I never said anything. But because after Irina basically was like telling Micah like, hey, she likes Paul and stuff in Mexico, she just felt uneasy. So when they had a conversation in Seattle, Irina's just like, yo, I was your only friend in this whole experiment situation, and this is how you do me? Like, you're really about to try to get my fiance? So she had to apologize to Micah and was just like, sorry, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, it's kind of funny because Micah was doing the same thing to Kwame while Chelsea, was watching them, because she was touching up on Kwame, being like a little touchy-feely and stuff like that, which was like, she didn't realize that, Irina was doing that to Paul because she was over here having 20-minute conversation with Kwame. So, but yeah, she had to let Irina know, like, what you did was so wrong. So that was deaded. Basically she let Irina know that Paul has no interest in you at all. So there was never going to be any type of relationship or situation going to happen. So then later on, Micah shows Paul, invites Paul to, a birthday party, and, her friends are there. So this friend named Shelby and Michaela were there, and they're basically talking to Paul. So one of the friends were basically like, okay-ish, they were kind of, whatever. But then the other one was just like very judgmental, whatnot. So then Paul was just like, I don't really care what your friends have to say. So then Mike is just like, well, you should care what they have to say. They're my friends or whatever. So Paul was just like, I only care about you. So he basically walked off, and, he just like had time for himself because, it seems like she cares about her friends' opinions than, her future husband's opinions. So she basically, because Michael was basically saying how this one friend basically terminated relationships single-handedly for Micah. So I'm just like, you're allowing your friends to terminate relationships single-handedly for you? Like, what's going on here? So this friend told Micah, like, I don't think this is, Paul's the one for you. Like, you deserve this and that and this and that. And, like, I don't think you deserve him and blah, blah, blah. And, like, she was basically, like, just saying, like, oh, Paul's not the one for you. Like, no. So the other friend was just like, yeah, I think you guys are really good together or whatever. Like, even though she was a little snarky at first, she really came, was like, I think Paul, if you like Paul, I think he's a cool dude. Like, I think I like Paul for you too. But, the other friend was just like, you're such a hater. Because she was just like, oh, I don't like him. Like, he's nice and all, but I need to see more. So I'm just like, really? You're gonna about basically tell him like, oh, that's not the one for you after one encounter? So obviously after that conversation, it was just like, is she really gonna sway Micah into not marrying Paul because she told Micah like, hey, Paul's not the one for you? So I don't know about that, but that's how it seems. And anyway, we're going on this Marshall and Jackie situation, and the first couple episodes seems like, everything is so nice and dandy. He's making breakfast for Jackie. Jackie's getting treated basically like a princess, basically, as we're seeing. So they look fine and dandy. He's doing his thing, she's doing her thing, and didn't seem anything rocky. Next thing you know, we get to episode 8. We see that Marshall is coming back after staying at his own apartment and coming back to their joint apartment. So they seem like they had a falling out. Their argument basically was that Jackie told him that to be more aggressive in the bedroom. So Marshall's like, he's not that type of guy. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you saying? Like, I'm not going to do things like that as well. And then he also set a point to the fact that, he shows affection to Jackie, but Jackie never comes and shows affection to him. So it's just like he's putting the more effort into a relationship, showing that he loves her and cares about her. But, Jackie does the bare minimum to reciprocate that to Marshall. So Marshall is like, what are you doing for me? Like, I'm doing something for you, but what are you doing for me? So also, they're having an argument because Jackie was kind of upset that he left. So she's like, oh, I'm going to pack my stuff. So granted, the big topic was that Marshall called Jackie a project. He basically said that he sees a project that, considering the fact that she never been in a relationship, especially like this, where it's, respectable and all that stuff. She never been in a relationship. She has a lot of hardships and, things about herself. She's very self-sabotaging, things like that. And he basically told her that. Wrong choice of words of calling her a project, but basically what he meant was that, how basically, if you want to, like, those girls, basically how they say how the girls get a bad boy and they want to, like, fix the bad boy, blah, 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 blah. So basically, in the sense that, reverse, Marshall has Jackie. Jackie's has all these problems, and he feels like, being with her, he can, I guess, show her her better self, basically, I guess, teach her, show her, like, how to, what a real relationship is, like, to be her better self, things like that in a relationship, basically. And, like, not really fix her, but, in the sense of letting her learn and grow of being in a relationship with him in a respectable and loving relationship. So, wrong choice of words, but everything he said after that was basically facts. So, she started crying, basically gave him a hug. Seems like, she was kind of realizing that he really cares about her. Next thing you know, we get to Chelsea and Kwame because the last thing we see is Chelsea's birthday party. And, the only thing that's going on with Chelsea and Kwame is that, Kwame feels like he's giving up too much in this relationship. The fact that, he has to move from his home in Oregon to be in Seattle full-time with Chelsea after they get married. He just feels like he's doing too much compromising. Chelsea brought up the fact of having kids. And, he was just basically like, let's just try to enjoy this relationship first before having more people or whatever involved in this relationship. And then there's also another thing of the fact that, Kwame's mother does not approve of the relationship at all. She doesn't approve to the fact that she didn't even, like, sign the rights to have her voice be heard on the TV show. So it's just like, in the preview, we hear Chelsea ask, like, are we still going to go through the marriage or the relationship without your approval from your mother? So we don't know what his, answer is, but there's that. So back on to Chelsea's birthday party. Everybody's coming back. We see Josh, we see Amber. It's the first time we see Bliss and Zack out in public together. So everybody's like, oh my gosh, Bliss and Zack, Bliss and Zack, Bliss and Zack, Bliss and Zack. So there's that. So Josh is there, and he's basically like, oh, I put Marshall's feelings first. Like, oh, he didn't care about my feelings about liking Jackie and whatnot. And, I'm going to go try to pour my heart out to Jackie and see if she, responds or whatever. So, steal your girl type thing, which is like, what are you doing? And the funny thing is that everybody there don't really mess with Josh like that. Like, nobody messes with Josh like that. Like, maybe Brett might give him the time of day, but nobody really messes with Josh like that. Everybody's, looking like, what is she, like, before we even get there, Marshall comes to the party by himself. So, it's like, it seems like they're still going through a little falling out. And, everybody's like, where's Jackie, where's Jackie? But he's like, we're having a little problem, but, she's still coming to the party. So, obviously, it seems like they're okay-ish, even though they're still going through their problems. But, because obviously after she came to the party and hugged her friends, she came straight to Marshall, hugged him, asked him if he was okay. And, Marshall gave her his jacket because he was like, it's a bit chilly. I don't want you to get cold, blah, 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 blah. And, she wore his jacket. So, Jackie's talking to Chelsea and I think Bliss or whatever. Josh comes around and he's like, trying to talk to Jackie and basically like, if, you don't want to get married to Marshall, I'm right here. And it's just like, Jackie's telling him like, we never talked about serious stuff over in the pods. Like, we never talked about anything serious and whatnot. It was just like, he's trying to be on this Mr. Steal Your Girl type thing. And, Jackie's just like, obviously on the offensive, because obviously she's engaged to Marshall, so it's just like she's still trying to keep that respect level, but she's giving him the conversation. So you got people looking like, why is you having this conversation with Zack, with Josh? Like, that guy's a weirdo. Like, what's going on? And then the thing is that Josh had the audacity to come up to Marshall and just basically like, basically he was like all up on Marshall, like hugging him, touching him. Like, Marshall, like, back off on me. Like, like he said it with his face, but he just like, like, okay, like, get off of me. And after that conversation, he was like, what was that? But he's over here like, if you're cool, I'm cool. Like, he basically told him like, if you can steal Jackie from me, you can have her. Like, I'm like, as disrespectful that is, he basically say like, if you can steal her away, then you can have her. Like, to the fact that like, because obviously she didn't appreciate him enough to the fact to, not be in the relationship or do that. But so that's what happened. So we just left off on Jackie and Josh having this conversation at the end of the episode, which is just like, everybody's looking in disgust, like, why are you having this long conversation with Josh? Because it seems like Josh is just trying to like, oh, he's trying to do a Kwame and Micah, like, talk about, not being together. But I'm just like, you already have Marshall and Jackie being in this like rough patch right now. So the fact that Josh is in the mix is kind of like, what's going on here? So that was basically episode 6 through 8. It seems like a lot of mess is going to happen. We have no idea what's going to happen with Marshall and Jackie. I mean, it feels like the relationship is on its like last legs, considering the fact that, she doesn't seem like she's strong enough in herself to, try to change her dating habits or try to be in a proper relationship. And, he's trying his best, but it's just like, it's kind of like Irina and Zack. Like, if you're not going to put in proper effort in this relationship, it's just like, why are you still in the relationship? So the thing is, and to an extent, not exactly, But, obviously she always comes back and like, oh, I'm sorry, Marshall, I'm sorry. But it's like, how many sorries is not going to cut it. Like, you need to show some action, Jackie. Like, what's going on, Jackie? So, I don't know what's going on with Jackie, but, anybody else would want a Marshall, okay? So, she need to know what she's doing, because everybody else is going to find a Marshall. And if they find a Marshall, they're like, oh, they're going to keep their Marshall, okay? Because Marshall over here catering to you, and you're like, oh, oh, that's so sweet, but you're not doing anything for Marshall, okay? So I can't wait to see what's going to happen. It seems like we're getting closer to the wedding. Like, we only have 10 days before the wedding. So Paul and Micah, I don't know what's going on over there. Tiffany and Brett seem very stable. Like, obviously they're the number one couple to get married in this season, so obviously we're rooting for them. And then Bliss and Zack, Bliss already told Zack from the pods, like, her parents, are not always approving of her relationships, so that there's gonna be that. But if they really care about each other enough, they will continue their relationship. But that was basically episode 6 through 8 of Love is Blind. I would say for Zack, talk about a second chance. Like, this man was granted a second chance. Like, he got that second chance, ate it up, because he's very lucky. Like, nobody else is gonna fumble and still get that second chance, okay? Like, he ate that second chance up. Like, he's engaged, he got the girl in the end. So just like, talk about a second chance, okay? But yeah, Zack got his second chance with Bliss. He's trying to make it work, and we'll see from there. I'm kind of surprised, but they seem like they're very well suited for each other, so I'll give them that. If you guys like this video, like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns. If you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.